shops right now. Stop into Westside Decorating for everything you need for home decorating. Good morning. Welcome to the Art Lewis Show. Coming up after the 10 o'clock news, Tony Stamas will be with us. Talk about the Midland Business Alliance. At 11 o'clock, the YMCA of Saginaw has a veterans event this weekend, and we'll talk to them about that on Focus. For this hour, though, it's open phones, whatever's on your mind, 989-752-6111. I want to chat up front here for a little bit about the Supreme Court because apparently the president has changed his mind. Originally, he was not going to pursue any changes in the court, but now the president is set to announce support for major Supreme Court changes. I'll talk about what they're looking at and what I, as a layman reading the Constitution, think they can do and not do. One of the changes which Congress could do is alter the size of the court, because in the establishment of the Supreme Court in the Constitution, the Founding Fathers did not set a size per se. The court has been as low as 5 members up to as many as 10. The 1869 law, which established the current court, applies for 1 Chief Justice and 8 Associate Justices, which is what we've had since that time. But now, because this current administration is on the losing side of the majority of the court, they feel it's necessary to take a look at the court. There have also been some, scandals alleged to the court and things of that nature. So what they are looking at is what kinds of changes they would want to make, including, and this is where I take issue, proposals for legislation to establish term limits for the justices and enforceable ethics codes, according to a couple of folks who have been briefed. Well, here's my problem with it as a layman, and again, I'm not a constitutional lawyer, I'm not a lawyer of any kind, and I don't play one on the radio. As I read the Constitution, justices are appointed so long as they are in good behavior. In other words, for life. There is no term limit. So therefore, I don't believe Congress has the power to simply legislate term limits on the justices. Now, if they want to initiate a constitutional amendment, well, sure, they can always do that. But again, it would take a constitutional amendment to change the Constitution, because the Constitution has set the pattern for which justices serve. And according to this one article, which I pulled down, term limits and ethics code would be subject to congressional approval, which would face long odds in the Republican-controlled House and slim Democratic majority in the Senate. And again, I don't think it would be constitutional for term limits. Under the current rules, passage in the Senate would require 60 votes. A constitutional amendment requires even more hurdles, which is why they don't want to do that. 2/3 support of both chambers or by the convention of 2/3 of the states, and then approval by 3/4 of the state legislature. So you can see constitutional amendments are not easy. And the Founding Fathers did that on purpose. They did that so that political considerations would not be used to change the Constitution every time somebody lost in an argument. And it is also true that they made impeachment very, very difficult. Now, impeachment itself, and I should correct that, impeachment itself is not difficult. It just takes a majority of the House to bring impeachment. Impeachment, remember, you're not guilty when you're impeached. Impeachment is like an indictment. It says, we believe you did this and we're going to charge you with this. the Senate becomes the trial and the jury. And thus, the Founding Fathers were wise enough to make it very difficult to impeach your political foes and convict them. Again, as I've said, you can always bring impeachment. We've seen that more recently than in times past in this country. But it's very, very difficult to get a conviction. Darn near impossible. I think if Nixon had hung around, probably would have been the first and only case where there was a clear shot at conviction. Now, again, anybody can bring charges. Any member of Congress, including AOC, who just filed for impeachment for Justices Thomas and Alito, you know it's going to go nowhere. First of all, the House is controlled by the Republicans, so she's not going to get very far with those articles of impeachment. And it would never pass the Senate, even if it did. And just because you don't like the decisions of the court or the majority sways one way or another, you don't have a right to willy-nilly change the court because you don't like what it's doing. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes and how far it gets. All right, open phones today, 989-752-6111. The Republican convention, of course, off and running. Day 2 yesterday saw some of President Trump's primary opponents who had things to say about him which weren't nice during the primary, did their mea culpas yesterday and came out with strong endorsements. We saw Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis all coming out strongly in support of Donald Trump. And that's not a surprise. On the other side, though, the Democrats, this one is interesting. I mean, it is rare that I agree with anything that Representative Schiff says of California. But yesterday, he was warning donors in a private meeting that his party was likely to suffer major losses if President Biden continued his re-election campaign. This was reported in the New York Times Tuesday, and they had 2 sources supporting it. As much as I don't like Representative Schiff, there's something about him that just rubs me wrong. He is a smart politician. And if he's coming out and saying that the party is in trouble because of their nominee or their presumed nominee, the President of the United States, there's going to be people listening. How long ago and how many times have I said I didn't think either Trump or Biden would be the candidates? Well, I think I'm about to be proven quite wrong. Trump obviously is going to be the candidate. He already has all the delegates he needs. Biden has all the delegates he needs and seems quite intent on staying in the race. Going to be interesting. Have you watched any of the Republican National Convention? I used to be a real political junkie. By that I mean I used to watch every minute of every convention. I found it interesting, and I think it probably one of the things that probably sparked my interest in politics back in the day, before I was ever in radio. I mean, I was a teenager. Couldn't wait for the conventions and watch all the action on the floor and all that stuff. Not so much today. I mean, I tuned it in last night just in time to see Nikki Haley get introduced, so I hung around and watched Haley and DeSantis and Ben Carson. But not as fond of them anymore. First of all, they're predictable. I mean, it's, particularly in this day and age where you're going in with the candidates already having enough delegates, nobody's going to be pulling off any surprises. So it's not quite as interesting as it used to be. All right, we'll take a break. Lines open for you. Whatever you'd like to chat about, give us a call.
Rush.
All right, we're back with you here on WSGW, and let's get to our phones this morning. Chuck is in Millington. Chuck, good morning to you.
Good morning, Art. Can you explain to me what gaslighting is? My sense of humor had it using a Bic lighter.
I'm going to look it up so I get it right because I don't have an exact definition. Let's see if I can find it for you. Gaslighting, it says here, is a type of psychological or emotional abuse that involves manipulating someone into questioning their own sanity, memories, or perception of reality. And it comes from a 1944 film called Gaslight and just became popular recently.
Yeah.
So
they were saying that Biden was gaslighting the other day.
Yeah, well, listen, politicians love to pick up these terms and just use them willy-nilly.
Yeah.
So, but that's what it is. It's a psychological or emotional abuse and manipulating someone.
All right, thanks.
So don't accuse me of gaslighting you. I did not.
Oh no. Hey, I got another one small thing. I found a commemorative plate or platter that said Bay City Country Club. Mm-hmm. And is that the one you belong to or you used to? I was wondering, is there a way I could donate it to them?
Well, I don't know. What happened was the Bay City Country Club, the original Bay City Country Club, went out of business and was sold.
This one has
What, is there a date on it?
It just talks like it's an 1800. It started in 1800.
Really? Yeah, could be.
And then
there are new owners.
And then it showed the golf course.
Yeah, there are new owners who have renamed it the Bay City Country Club. And maybe they would be interested in that kind of artifact. I don't know. You'd have to call over there and find out. It's interesting.
Okay, I'll do that.
Good deal.
You were talking about golfing out there.
Oh yeah.
A while back on your show.
Yeah.
Then when I saw that, I thought, hey, that might be interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks.
They might be interested. Thanks, Chuck. Have a good one.
Okay, bye.
Take care. Bye-bye now. And we say hello to Carl in Saginaw. Good morning, Carl.
Good morning, Art. Yesterday, United States Senator Robert Menendez was found guilty on multiple counts of, fraud, bribery. He had gold bars, in his closet.
Oh yeah.
I'm hoping they throw the book at this guy. Maybe you'll agree. He's a Democrat, but I think, I think they should go after him. The Justice Department, charged him and, got all these guilty counts. He hasn't been sentenced yet. And also there's been a number of prominent Democrats calling for him to resign.
Yeah, including Chuck Schumer.
Yeah, just because you're found guilty, of a federal crime, that doesn't mean you're kicked out of the Senate automatically. It doesn't. It doesn't work that way. No, not at all. But I'm glad the Democrats are calling for him to step down.
Oh yeah.
So I just thought, here's just a situation where the Biden Justice Department, investigated a Democrat, a U.S. senator, no less. And so the people who think the justice system is all biased against one side or the other, they investigated Hunter Biden, charged him with a crime, and convicted him.
Not right away, did they? It took them a while to get to that.
Well, it did. Well,
they kind of turned their head on what was obvious.
Well, I would say that about a bunch of things on Trump, that they turned their head on things that were obvious there. And they waited a long, long time to start the charges on Trump. Years. So I'd say there's a lot of blame to go around.
Oh, that's true.
I don't think this idea that it's biased one way or the other I don't think that's true. I think that's another conspiracy theory.
Yeah, well, listen, it's certainly a view. It's let's be honest. The view of these kinds of institutions is dependent on whose ox is getting gored at any particular moment. So,
well, it just seems to me this is an example of them, them going after a Democrat. So let's just not say that it's all one-sided or that it's all political.
Yeah, well, he's been around the horn a couple of times. This is the first time they got a conviction.
I heard a story about him that when he first became a politician, he made his name going after corrupt politicians. That's how he made a name for himself in New Jersey, back 40 years ago.
Yeah.
He was the guy that was going to clean up politics in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny how that works.
So, yeah, exactly.
All right. Good enough, Carl.
All right, thanks, Art.
Thanks, buddy. Take care. Bye-bye now. Yeah, listen, like I said, the view of anything is dependent on whose ox is getting gored at any particular moment. That's true in the judiciary. It's true in politics. It's true in life. So it's something we the people have this thing about, and particularly today with the divisiveness in politics. It's got to be this way or that way. There's nothing in between. And the reality is, in most cases, not all, but in most cases, government functions reasonably well. Are there lapses? Yeah. I mean, could you say there was a lapse last Saturday when the former president was shot? Sure. And hopefully we'll find out what caused that lapse and prevent it from happening again. But nothing is perfect. Remember, government is nothing more than people just like you and me. We use that term, the government did this. Well, who is the government? The government is people. They get up in the morning, take their showers, put their clothes on, take their kids to school, go to church. All the things we do, that's what they do because they're the same. They're just like us. They're people, but they are people who we have entrusted with the responsibility of running the government. We have direct responsibility for the people we have elected. The problem comes that we don't have any direct responsibility for the bureaucracy behind the people we elect. And therein lies the problem. Take a break. Come back. We'll get to Mark when we return. Take a moment to tell you about Quick Lane Freeland next to my auto dealer, McDonald Ford. Quick Lane Freeland is a one-stop for all of your routine auto maintenance. They do everything from oil changes to brakes, tires, batteries, you name it. They also have a product that's a hospital-grade disinfectant called FrigiFresh. FrigiFresh goes into your ventilation system, and it kills germs, odors, pollen, mildew, and keeps you healthy inside your car. And best of all, it's only $20 and only takes 10 minutes. You don't need an appointment. You can just stop in to Quick Lane Freeland, tell them you'd like FrigiFresh for your car, and they will take care of it for you. While you're there, ask them to check your cabin filter because that also plays into your health inside your car. And most new cars today have cabin filters, and they'd be happy to change it for you. Quick Lane Freeland, and remember this, they work on all makes and models of cars, not just Fords, but all makes and models of cars and trucks, keeping them in tip-top shape for you. Quick Lane Freeland, right next to McDonald Ford.
1978.
All right, we're back here on WSGW. We'll get back to our phones. Mark is in Mount Pleasant. Mark, good morning.
Good morning, Art. How are you, sir?
Good.
Hey, so had a couple days to let that shooting marinate, and the head of the security Secret Service.
Secret Service.
Do you think she should step? Yeah, Secret Service. Do you think she should step down?
Personally, yeah. You know, these things responsibility ends up at the top of the pile. And,
right. Yeah.
And that in this particular case, well, let me put it this way. Let's see where the absence was. Where did it happen? Where did the absence of security happen, and who was responsible for it? It's easy to say, yeah, she should go, you know, and maybe she should, but we still don't know where the responsibility lied for that building and what transpired. And the reports have been conflicting. I mean, you know, every time you turn around, it's something else. So yeah, I just think that, you know, for confidence, probably you need to change at the top. If for nothing else, just confidence in the service. Because the Secret Service is an elite agency.
Yes.
And they've had their problems. I mean, you know, they've had problems with agents on foreign detail, prostitutes. They've had problems with some drunk agents running the gate. They're not perfect, but they're people. They're human, you know, and that's what happens. But
a couple of issues.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, a couple of issues I have with this, with the head of the Secret Service is it was rumored out there that she hired a YouTuber to help train some of the agents. And then it was rumored out there that she didn't put an agent on the roof, a shooter, because it was pitched. Can we say that
yeah.
Go ahead.
She said it was a sloped roof. Well, her snipers were on sloped roofs. I don't buy that one at all. And,
well, do we hire roofers now to go on the roof to be snipers? I mean,
no.
Okay.
I think that was on her part a stupid thing to say, because you could see it with your own eyes. It wasn't that sloped. But
I've been on some. Go ahead.
Regardless, I mean, you know, it's going to require an investigation that goes over everything, and the Secret Service cannot investigate themselves, which is why the FBI has taken over the investigation. And I've heard people say, "Oh, I don't trust the FBI." Well, I do. The FBI is an excellent investigative branch of government. Yeah, there's some issues in the past, obviously, with President Trump and things that have taken place. But for the most part, the thousands of men and women who go to work every day to protect you and me do a fabulous job.
No, I agree. One thing on that metal building is I've been on some metal roofs, and when you walk on a metal roof, man, does it make some noise.
Yeah,
and my understanding is the Butler Police Department was staged inside that facility. Now, how could you not hear somebody on top of the roof to go out and curious to take a look?
We don't know. And then at first it was said there was one police officer that climbed up and had his hands on the edge of the roof and was going to pull himself up. And when his head cleared the edge of the roof, the shooter saw him and pointed his gun at him. So the cop did what anybody would do. He got down because he didn't have his gun in his hand. He was holding onto the roof. Then there was a report there were two of them that did that. So I don't know. Right. I'm at the point now where it's all speculation.
Right.
And unless we were there, we wouldn't know, and we weren't there, you know. So
I agree. Well, like I said, if you're inside a metal building, you would hear
it. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So. And they may have. I don't know. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Alrighty, sir.
Good enough.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye now.
Yep. Bye.
And here's Gary in Saginaw. Gary, good morning.
Good morning. I'm going to be brief because I've got a ride coming in a minute. Well, you just covered my second comment on the shooting. I'm glad that there's going to be hopefully a thorough investigation of what went wrong. Number two, I was going through my head of all the presidents that might have been that were either assassinated or shot, and I forgot two. Roosevelt of the 1912 Bull Moose Party, and then Henry Wallace. So why would anybody want that job?
Well,
Oh.
that's. I don't know. I certainly wouldn't, but not for those reasons. But I mean, it's just if you have a love for the country and think you can do good by the citizens of the country, well, then you go for it.
I guess
Others
that's it.
go for it because it's the most powerful position on earth.
Okay, well, I see your point. Well, my ride's here, so I'm going to ring off.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. And let's talk to Al in Bay City. Good morning, Al.
Morning, Arthur. The question I have is, whatever happened to Mike Pence, and will they support Trump?
I doubt it. I don't think he'll come out publicly for Trump, and he's not at the convention. I think that he'll stay quiet.
Okay, well, I just was wondering.
That'd be my guess. And that's all it is a guess. But I'm guessing he'll stay quiet. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. I don't know, but that's my feeling anyway.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Al. Take care. Bye-bye now. 989-752-6111. Number to call on this open line edition this hour.
I'm Paul Young, candidate.
Returning with more good conversation on the Art Lewis Show here on WSGW, and Scott is in Saginaw. Good morning, Scott.
Hey, morning, Art. I wanted to talk about Joe Biden here wanting to now stack the deck once again with the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Well, what it looks like is they've rammed all this stuff through the Supreme Court, couldn't get it done, hook or by crook. And so now what they're basically saying is we're just going to go ahead and stack the deck. We're going to put corrupt people in the Supreme Court, and then we can do whatever the heck we want to do.
Well, here's the good news. The good news is you still have a Republican majority in the House. They'll never get it done. And secondly, I don't think they can apply term limits because the Constitution specifies the term as a term of good behavior. So, they may be able to do things, technically, they can adjust the number of justices on the court. That is something that the Congress can do. But I don't see that happening. There are too many nay votes. I mean, they can try it. They can go fight. Look at AOC. She's trying to impeach Thomas and Alito. You know how far that's going to go? Nowhere.
Well, but you're saying that this is going to go nowhere if Republicans can hold one of the three houses. But if something happens, I mean, I find it curious now that all of a sudden we're hearing that Iran now all of a sudden wants to kill Trump, and so they already doubled his security before. That seems like a late in the game call that they did here. So
well, they react to the news. But
well, no. To me, this is a cover-up. This is a cover-up once again because why weren't we told a month ago? I mean, we've known that Trump ordered the hit on Soleimani, however you say his name, Soleimani. Yeah, and so we knew that these guys wanted Trump dead. But now all of a sudden, out of the blue, they say, well, Iran's been talking a bunch of stuff too. Right after they talk about the shooter shooting at Trump. But there isn't a link here. What they're doing is they're trying to take these Democrats and move it away because what I'm afraid of, Trump, is this isn't the first attempt that's going to be done on Trump. They're coming after him. They're going to try to remove him is what they're going to do.
Wow.
Biden's opened the door. Hey, Biden's opened the door to terrorists. He's flying them in here. You know this and I know this. And now they're saying, well, Iran wants to kill him. They're covering their butts.
Wow.
We have the lady that's running the Secret Service, and you guys just talked about it, but she says, well, we deemed it dangerous to be on top of the roof, so we thought we'd go inside the building and secure it. Why don't you put blindfolds on all the Secret Service as well, you dumb lady? No, this is when this gets opened up, Art, this is going to be the same thing as January 6th. We're going to see fingerprints of dirty Democrats that open doors. I'm not saying that they pushed this kid to shoot Trump. That kid did that all on his own. But what I'm going to say is there was open doors, and the Democrat Party is hoping that somebody's going to take a chance. That's why you hear so many of these Democrats saying, you better not miss next time. What do you mean next time?
You didn't have so many. There was one stupid band member that said that.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Jack Black's band.
Ranking member of Homeland Security, Representative Democrat Thompson, his aide, said next time get yourself some shooting lessons so you don't miss. No, it's not one time.
Yeah, there's probably a couple of nuts.
Well, but she's in the ranking secretary. You know, I'm just saying, Art, it doesn't look good, and we need to keep praying for Trump because I do believe they're going to do this again. They're going to try again.
I hope
on
you're
this,
wrong.
Man. They're afraid of death. Oh, so do I. I hope I'm wrong too. I hope these people just stop and just they stop. But I don't see them stopping. That's why Biden's saying we're going to change the Supreme Court because we've done everything we can do, and we can't get through what we want to do.
He can say it all he wants.
Change the law.
He can say it all at once. It isn't going to happen. Besides, it takes 60 votes in the Senate, and there are some Democrats that don't want to see it happen. So they're treading water. They're going nowhere with it.
But they're telling you.
Well, you know why they're
telling you what they're trying to do.
You know why? Because there are people in the United States that are dissatisfied with the Supreme Court, so they see this as an issue where they might gain some traction. But you know, I don't see it happening, and I don't think it ever will. That's a guess.
It's kind of funny when Thomas there or Roberts put through the health care crap. I don't remember the Republican Party saying, "Let's stack the deck so we can do this illegally."
Nope, they didn't.
All right, Art.
All right, Scott, take care.
Enough complaining. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, 989-752-6111. I just, you know, the Supreme Court has been 9 members since, I think it's 1869, and I do not see it changing. Oh, I see a lot of conversation because, you know, if you're on the losing end or you're not the majority, well, okay. Win the presidency, hold on for retirements, and then fill the positions. It's the way it works. And I just don't see Congress having the authority to assign term limits, overriding what the Constitution says shall be the term of a justice, which is a term of good behavior. And if there is bad behavior, impeachment is provided. But it's not easy, because the Founding Fathers did not want impeachment used as a political tool. So, here we are today. And the other thing we have to remember, too, is the way we get information today, we're beat over the head with it. Time and time again, from a variety of sources, some of whom we have no idea their credibility, and it's constant. It's constant. So you might as well get used to it. It isn't going to change. It's the way it is. All right, we're going to close out this hour of the Art Lewis Show. Tell you what's ahead after these notes.
My mom's my best friend.
All right, that puts the first hour to bed for the Art Lewis Show. Coming up in the second hour, we're going to talk to Tony Stamas, President and Chief Executive Officer of the Midland Business Alliance. Find out what's happening with that organization. Before that, though, CBS will bring us up to date on the nation and the world, and then Michael Perch is in the WSGW newsroom, and he'll tell you what's happening in the region and the state. After that, we'll be back.
Broadcasting from the storm.
Harris calling out the senator for supporting a national abortion ban and voting against IVF protections. The Office of Homeland Security's Inspector General says it's opened an investigation into the way the Secret Service handled security at Donald Trump's campaign rally Saturday, where a 20-year-old shooter tried to assassinate the former president. CBS's Charlie DeMar.
Sources telling CBS News that there were actually 3 snipers from a local tactical team. They were on duty helping the Secret Service with security on Saturday. They were actually in the same building that the shooter ultimately perched upon and took his position. They were beneath him. And before the shooter took his position on that roof, one of those snipers in that building actually noticed the 20-year-old in the crowd and noticed him acting suspiciously.
Water rescues are underway in the South after a new wave of severe storms pummeled wide swaths of the U.S. and Canada. CBS's Jim Krasula.
The National Weather Service has issued a flash flood emergency for parts of Marion County and north central Arkansas. The Weather Service says nearly a foot of rain has fallen overnight, with numerous bridges and roads being washed away and water rescues ongoing. Evacuations are taking place as water swamps homes and businesses.
So long to the Mirage and its famous fire-spewing volcano. It's closing day for Las Vegas' first mega resort.
It's sad to see it go away, but I am kind of excited to see Hard Rock, though.
Hard Rock's guitar-shaped resort is set to open in 2027. The Emmy nominations are out next hour.
Hear me, my son. I alone will tell you the truth.
Shogun and a kitchen comedy are the top contenders.
What if I wanted to open a restaurant?
Critics expect The Bear and Baby Reindeer to dominate, too. The Dow is up 122 points. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Get renter's insurance to protect the things that make your place a home, including coverage for theft or damage. Visit Progressive.com.
Still undecided about...
Live from the 100.5 and 790 newsroom, this is WSGW News.
Mostly sunny skies and 72 degrees at 10:05. Good morning, I'm Mike Percha. 2 Bad Axe residents have been charged with shooting at a house over the weekend. Police responded to a home in the 300 block of Silver Street Saturday morning around 1:45 after a vehicle pulled up alongside it and a suspect fired 11 rounds from a semi-automatic handgun. No one inside the home was injured. Police say they think the wrong house was targeted in the attack. They arrested 27-year-old DeMondre Williams and 41-year-old Jody Lee Tibbetts later that afternoon. Williams is charged with felony firearm discharge in or at a building, carrying a concealed weapon, and other felonies. Tibbetts is charged with weapons firearm discharge in or at a building, carrying with unlawful intent, and carrying a concealed weapon. They're both being held on a $500,000 bond in the Huron County Jail. U.S. Congressman Dan Kildee, along with Senators Debbie Stabenow and Gary Peters, have introduced bipartisan legislation to address the housing shortage in Michigan. The Revitalizing Downtowns and Main Street Act would help build more affordable housing by creating a new federal tax credit for converting vacant and obsolete office and commercial buildings for residential use. The credit would be distributed through the state housing finance agencies like the Michigan State Housing Agency, or MISHDA, to conversion projects that will create more affordable housing, drive economic revitalization, and support Michigan small businesses. Michigan has a lack of affordable housing and is 141,000 housing units short of demand, according to MISHDA. Kildee's bill to repurpose vacant and underutilized commercial buildings for housing would help build more affordable housing and drive investment in Michigan communities. WSGW News Time, 10:07. WSGW News Time, 10:08. The weather forecast is coming up. Grand Rapids police are investigating after 5 people may have overdosed in Hartside Park over the past couple days. In a Facebook post, police say 5 non-fatal overdoses happened at the park. Police say it's possible a tainted batch of heroin is the cause. Police say the RED Project provides kits of the opioid overdose reversal drug Narcan for those who may be experiencing an overdose. They're considered a delicacy in some African countries, but travelers are prohibited from bringing these rare snails into the U.S. Michigan News Network's Greg Bowman explains.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents seized 90 of the giant African land snails from a traveler at Detroit Metro Airport on June 30th. Officials say they found the live snails in the bag of a passenger arriving to the airport from Ghana. The passenger didn't mention the snails, which caught the attention of the agriculture specialist from the unusual smell coming from a tied-woven bag. The live snails officials seized June 30th were intended for consumption, but if released, they could cause major crop damage. Acting Port Director John Nowak says these snails are an invasive species that could negatively impact our economy. He says the agency's agriculture specialists are always keeping a watchful eye out for harmful plants, animals, and insects. I'm Greg Bowman for the Michigan News Network.
The Coast Guard is looking into what caused an oily sheen on the waters near Sault Ste. Marie. Monday night, the oil was seen drifting down the St. Mary River. Pollution responders believe 10 gallons of an unknown product was spilled. A floating boom was placed into the water to contain the spill and to help absorb it. The source is not known at this time. WSGW News Time at 10:10. I'm Mike Percha.
5789 State Street in Saginaw, West Side Decorating Center. Good morning. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Art Lewis Show. Today we're going to spend a little time learning about the Midland Business Alliance and some of their initiatives and see what's happening in Midland. And to talk to us about that is the president and CEO of the Midland Business Alliance, and he is Tony Stamas. Tony, good morning.
Good morning, Art. Great to be with you.
Glad to have you. As we do all the time, for those that may live in a shell and not know what it is, give us an overview of the Midland Business Alliance and particularly how it came about.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, a number of years ago, 6-7 years ago, a lot of the folks that were so active in our community and just great leaders kind of looked at what the Legacy Chamber of Commerce, the Legacy Economic Development organizations did, and they did a great job. But I think they kind of viewed it and said, you know, the mission on these organizations is one and the same. And so the idea of, okay, let's combine these organizations, albeit, you know, they might work in different areas, you know, and kind of focus on different pieces at times. The mission is to help grow the community, to investment, jobs, to help it to thrive, for people to, you know, want this to be a place to live and stay. And so we combined it into the Midland Business Alliance. We've got a couple other partners that are legacy partners, MidCon and CBM, and so just made it into one organization. And you know, I always think you kind of try and do it through the course of the regular day, but you know, often you get a proof of concept in times of crisis. And you know, when we have a pandemic followed up shortly after by a dam breach, it really kind of reaffirmed, look, we're all working on the same thing, and we're trying to help our great partners in our community, and really kind of showed that vision made sense.
Well, let's talk about some of those, because I know some of them are, you know, initiatives you guys are working on, and you mentioned floods. We've talked about the flood reduction and resiliency with a couple of folks, including Bill Schuette and Mr. Fisher and the like. Where is it now, and how far along is it?
Yeah, it's, you know, a number of different parts to it. You know, we're working with we were so fortunate working with our state legislators to get $40 million appropriated to build flood resiliency. Some of those pieces are in a pretty tight time frame, so we've been working very closely. The city council will make those decisions, but in fact, this upcoming Monday night there'll be a presentation at the Midland City Council meeting looking at, you know, how we've contracted with Spicer Engineering, what different options are in terms of that, and you know, City Council won't walk in a specific one, but just to kind of give a sense of what's being looked at in terms of solutions for those dollars that have to be appropriated in a pretty short time frame. So the City Council is going to look, you know, well before the end of the year at making some decisions on a portion of those dollars. So that's moving forward. And then, you know, the other piece is an ongoing partnership we've had with the Army Corps of Engineers, who've just been wonderful to work with. We started off initially with the Midland County and having a hydrological study where they kind of looked at all the data, and we've concluded that, and moving on now to the general investigation study. And again, our federal legislators have made that possible by offering up appropriations bipartisan basis, and we're excited to move forward with that. Hopefully we'll have you know, in the next month or two, a formal movement, and that's going to be a partnership with the city, the county, and the Midland Business Alliance, and that really starts to look at over the next couple of years from the Corps, you know, and you know, they do work all over the country and have an incredible legacy. What are potential solutions from their end of that as well? So working on it on several fronts, you know, trying to work on some specific projects, with our legislators and getting resources for that. So it's you know, it never happens as quickly as you'd like, but I think there's a lot of movement in the right direction, and no one magic key, but I think if we work on a lot of different fronts, you know, we're fortunate. This is a beautiful setting. But it is the Saginaw Valley, and you know, if you look at a topographical map of this region, you could see why when the rains come, we're really impacted, and you know, we kind of view it particularly there at the Tridge where rivers converge. So, but I think there's going to be some really great options that we can put into place and make a difference.
While you're doing that, what's the relationship with Four Lakes as they rebuild the dams?
Yeah, they've been working so hard on that, and I think moving forward, I think just this week they were kind of looking at revised timelines on that. And so really kind of separate efforts in terms of, we're dealing with this long-term resiliency that many remember going back, particularly in 1986, the floods that we'd had. But it's happened a number of times, and doesn't always happen from the north. It can happen from the Chippewa and the Pine coming to the west. And it's not just Midland, it's our surrounding region. So we're focused on that, whereas, Four Lakes is doing a great job in terms of the dam restoration. So we've shared information, as, you kind of work with these experts to get that. Certainly there's no sense doing that twice. But beyond that, we're trying to be supportive of their work, and they certainly have been of our efforts.
Have you got a timeline on when you'd like to see holding basins and all of that good stuff that they're going to use, berms and what have you?
Yeah, I think parts of it we're going to see here in the next couple of years because, in terms of some of the state funds, you have to identify the projects, they have to be put in place, and so we've kind of got a couple of year window to get some of these done. We've been able to get some money from the federal end to look at debris removal. You kind of go along those, and that has an impact. So yeah, again, there's going to be lots of pieces, but yes, I think we'll see things here in the next couple of years. I think and then there'll be some that'll be longer term. But, this is by doing it now, in the decades ahead, I think we'll really make an impact for the community and I think even for the region.
Of all the initiatives the MBA is involved in, is that the leading one right now?
That's a big one, but, I'd say Housing Forward has been something that, as we talk, and it's not, you certainly hear that in Midland, we hear that in the Great Lakes Bay region, but we hear it around the country, just the challenge in terms of housing. And people say, well, where is the unmet need? And my answer is yes. It's kind of across the spectrum. But we were so fortunate to put together a program working with Midland Area Community Foundation, Strosacker Foundation, for this Housing Forward. And it's Jen Acosta, who's so active in the community, does a great job. And Nicole Wilson and our team have really kind of tried to put together some framework. And we've really focused, because there are so many great organizations that work in terms of the affordable housing area, looking at attainable housing, workforce housing.
Let me just interrupt for a minute. I got to take a break here. We'll come back and talk more about housing, because that is an important issue in this area, particularly with what we hope is an influx of jobs. You got to have a place to put these people. All right, we'll be back. We're talking to Tony Stamas from the Midland Business Alliance, and we will return with more.
Dare you not to get this song stuck.
Back with you on the Art Lewis Show, talking to Tony Stamas, President and CEO of the Midland Business Alliance, talking about various initiatives, one called Housing Forward. It seems to me, Tony, that in this day and age, with some of the things coming into the region, for example, Corning, and 1,100 jobs out in Hemlock, these people are going to need housing, and affordable housing is hard to find right now, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. It's an issue, kind of see across the board, and that is, we kind of see that investment, which is so wonderfully exciting. But like you said, people need, want them to live here, have their families here, settle here, but we need to find them places, and right now that is lacking pretty much across the board.
So what is Housing Forward going to do? What can it do?
Yes, we've worked with specific developers. We've had one, River Caddis, that's got a significant project coming here, and that continues to move forward. So we're excited about that. But then, really put into place, and it's all on our website, mbami.org, under initiatives, and there's stuff about the flood resiliency as well. But, what we're trying to do is offer technical support. We've got people, maybe it's not 200 units, maybe it's looking at 2 or 3 units. It could be in the city of Midland, could be Coleman, Sanford, Edenville, and how we can provide technical support. And so we've had well over a dozen that we've met with and worked with them, and just kind of, because there's lots of pieces to that. And, in some ways, some of those who work in the affordable housing area, kind of know the processes. But I think we found that, maybe people aren't as familiar with it in terms of workforce housing. MSHDA's been a great partner on the state level, and I think they see this need, and they're trying to work with how they can provide support. But, as a developer might look at this, and they're putting together a capital stack, what our local financial institutions, what programs at the state and federal level are available. So how we can, how we can make the case for this investment. And, there's interest, but, obviously people need to make sure it's something that makes sense for them to invest, and it would be good moving forward. So we've had a lot of interest. We just put together it's called a housing resource lab, just trying to bring together all of this information, and we don't charge anything. We just we want to help people to move forward with their ideas, and many of them are here locally, but some of them are from other parts of the state, and that's great as well. And hopefully this is something we'll certainly share with all of our regional partners, because what we know is that someone may live in Midland and work in Saginaw, or live in Bay and work in Midland, and there's so much overlap of our region that if we can kind of help on all fronts, serves us all very well.
It's the significant deficiency appears to be, to me anyway, in the $150,000 to $200,000 home. And one of the reasons is contractors can't build them for that anymore. It costs them $200,000 to build a $150,000 house. Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the challenge, and that's why we call it the workforce or attainable housing spectrum. But it has a domino effect, because you might have somebody who started out in what we would say is affordable housing, but they've moved along in their career. They could move up to that if they could find something, and then that opens up something on the other end. And so it's kind of it has a domino effect if you can open up. But that's exactly it, and that's what we're trying to do is, okay, in terms of your cost, what are other ways we can help to offset that or get other assistance, so then it does make financial sense to make that investment.
Some of the other initiatives, one of the things that you call it an initiative, but I always looked at it as reality because it's hard planted, and that's the Midland Area Farmers Market. That comes under your umbrella?
It does. Yeah, just a wonderful legacy program, and every Wednesday and Saturday, and just get so many people from our community. But really, we see people from all over that come to the farmers market. We've got wonderful vendors, so that's always exciting. It's going on today till 1:00 for when we finish up. If anybody wants to pop over there, and they always have great produce over there, and really over at the Dow Diamond there in the parking lot, and it's a great I think a great way to bring the community together and provide something that there's a lot of need for.
Is that a permanent location though?
We're still working on that. That's they have been wonderful partners. I look back when we were at the what I would call the legacy site down by the Tridge, and kind of as we looked at it, you say, are you in the floodplain? Well, we're in the floodplain there. We're in the floodway. We were in the primary area where the water flows, and so that made it really challenging. As much as many of us love that location, challenging, and so Dow Diamond's been a wonderful partner, and so we're working kind of with the community about long term what makes sense, and working with some partners. But they've been great, and you want to have the ambiance there, but you also need the parking there, and so you kind of figure out what that balance is in terms of that. But I give Emily Lyons and our whole team credit. We in the pandemic in 2020 we did a farmers market. It was drive-through, which I would have never envisioned, and then the floods came, and then we moved it. So I tell her we're going to keep that farmers market going no matter what history would suggest.
Yeah, and history proves it. History proves it. That's for sure.
It does.
Do you ever see the day where you'll have, permanent market shelters somewhere?
We'd like to, yes. Yeah. You'd like to have, provide shade for the vendors and, some accommodations that would go with that. So yeah, that really is our goal. And so just, when you look at it between parking and the vendors and everything, you need a fairly good sized footprint. So we're trying to figure out, okay, what would that look like and what makes sense? So I think, hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have some things that we can share on a broader basis and get feedback on. We did a survey, I don't know, a year and a half ago, asking for feedback. And, we get a lot of surveys, and so you don't always get a lot of responses. We had well over 1,000 responses.
Oh.
Just kind of speaking, to the passion people have and how invested they are in the farmers market. So that's exciting. We want to kind of keep that and build that on. But yes, that's something we would very much like to be part of it.
Another topic, and I know it's another one of your initiatives, and we've heard about it from the federal level to the state level, and that's broadband.
Right.
Where are we in providing widespread broadband service to those that may be in the outlying areas particularly?
Yeah, we're working on it. We've had a great team working on it. Our county controller Bridget Granston was talking about this before we hit the pandemic, but then certainly, coming out of the pandemic, we learned you can work across the globe from pretty much anywhere if you have that connectivity, and that's work, that's school, that's healthcare, that's connecting with our family. But you have to have that connectivity. And so there's significant resources both at the state and the federal level. It's just working through those processes. So we've had a team that's been working on this for years. There's a program here right now. Now, most of the dollars have come to the internet service providers, which is great. We've gotten to know them, and some of them work in our area and some of them don't, and that's fine. Just kind of knowing who they are so we can be supportive. And so we're hoping as we get to the end of this year and next year that there will be an opportunity to get some significant funding from the state level, federal dollars that have been passed on through, and help our local providers. And we've talked to our townships, city, the county has been right in the middle of this. And it's one, having the service, but two, also making sure that people can afford it. I mean, if you get in certain areas and the cost price point is one that's not affordable for anybody, then it doesn't really serve that purpose. And so I always kind of think this is the modern day equivalent of rural electrification, where it just fundamentally changes how we can do things and what we can do or what we can't do. But it's a process to build it out. So we're very focused on that. We're going to continue to work and support the investment. And again, I think there are dollars out there, so we've just kind of got to work through the process that the state puts in place to get those applications, and hopefully we'll continue to see build out on those.
Let's end with something else that falls under your umbrella. Not only the Chamber of Commerce type things, but the futures in attracting business to Midland. What's the availability of sites for business if somebody wants to establish a business in Midland?
Yeah, no, I think we've got good availability. I mean, you always want more, but I think we've got really, really good availability. We've got, in the industrial and the retail, and we're starting to see, we continue to see investment out at the mall area, which is great. But we see out in investment on Bay City Road, along Saginaw Road, certainly in downtown. I mean, the downtown just, I want everybody to come down in the summer, and it's just such a great setting. So yeah, I think we have that. And what we try and do is work with people to let them know. I mean, some of it's out there and it's readily, you can see right away, but some of it's not. And so we want to look and say, you might want to take a look at this place, or we know this place is going to be coming open. And so, we want to make sure and let people know. And we're excited, as we do ribbon cuttings, to continue to see the investment around the county. But we think there's a lot more opportunity ahead of us.
And today is your July Business After Hours. Where are you today?
Yeah, so we've got our business after hours that we always invite people, and it's one of those events. In the pandemic, we discovered we cannot do these online because it is truly a social event. Yeah. So it's Great Lakes Bay Construction. Just go up Eastman Road to Monroe, and they're wonderful partners. And for all of our members, we love to see them there.
All right, Tony. Well, it's been great as always, and look forward to chatting with you down the road again.
Always enjoy it. Thank you, Art.
Thanks. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Tony Stamas, President and CEO of the Midland Business Alliance. We'll have open phones for the remainder of the hour. 989-752-6111.
We're proud to make
All right, we're back with you on the Art Lewis Show. Open phones for the remainder of the program, and Sean is up in Bay City, and that's where we're going to go. Sean, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Art. Always enjoy listening to you. Just want to say that too.
Thanks.
But yeah, hey, just a few points here on the Trump assassination attempt. Number one that I got out of it is I witnessed a miracle that day.
Mm-hmm.
I watched that and I was blown away. That was a miracle.
Yeah, if he hadn't turned his head,
faith.
if he hadn't turned his head, we'd be talking about something else today.
You are 100% spot on, and for all you believers out there, and even the non-believers, millions of people, God witnesses in amazing ways. So that I find very interesting. Another one would be, think about JFK and all the questions we have about JFK, right? The assassination. Now think about the evidence we have about the JFK assassination and all the uproar that people have had for decades about it, right? Now imagine taking all the information that we have about the Trump assassination attempt, except taking that information back to when Kennedy was assassinated. Right? You follow me?
Yep.
Right? People would be like, wow, there's definitely 100% something going on because
we
have 10 times we got 10 times the information we got on JFK, and people definitely think something was going on with JFK.
Yeah.
Number 3, I find it very amazing. There's no Wendy's burnt down. There's no Arby's burnt down. There's no malls that have been burnt down. You've done everything you can to this man that millions and millions of people love. We've never burnt a thing down. MAGA's never destroyed anything. MAGA's never done a darn thing. However, I can't say the same about people who support, somebody that might have been on meth and fentanyl and putting guns to baby people's bellies that are pregnant. That's a woman, and then dies because of an overdose, and then a cop's got to go to jail for the rest of his life, and they burn down cities and stuff. So take the politics out of it and just look at stuff, people. Look at stuff.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
And one more thing. Are the Tigers going to make a wild card maybe?
Listen, who knows? I mean, they're going to have to go on a streak.
They are, but won a couple there the other day, and know.
Yeah, listen, they've narrowed the gap. Now they're only, I think, 3 games under 500, so they're getting close to that mark. So,
right. So hey,
listen,
we'll take what we can get with the Tigers.
You got it. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
better than as long as every year's better than the last one. That's what counts.
Hey, we're still talking about them, and there's possibilities. So
that's right.
That's a win.
That's right.
A win.
All right, Sean.
Have a good one.
Have a good one. You too. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
989-752-6111, the number to call to chat with us. That's interesting about the Tigers. I try and refrain from making predictions because I'm never right. But this year, in the morning team stuff, we all started making predictions, and I think I predicted 91 wins. Well, I got a ways to go. But, listen, a good winning streak could put them in good position. It's not outside of the realm of possibility. Not at all. Keep healthy. That's one of the keys. They got to keep healthy. But they've been showing spark lately. And one of the things that I've always looked at is how a team reacts when they are down near the end of a game, and can they come back? And the Tigers seem to have that spark. Now, there's been a couple of times they've come back but still lost by a run in the 10th inning or something like that, which is, okay, but they did come back. And I see that spark in this team now, so I'm kind of looking forward to what the future will hold. We'll be back.
1978. What a great...
Back with you here at WSGW. If you're calling in, just let it ring. And in the meantime, we're going to talk to Mark in Saginaw. Mark, good morning.
Good morning.
I just had an idea for what to do with Trump's hat that he was wearing. And you auction that off after he wins the presidency, and the money goes to help people who are victims of shootings.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I'll narrow that down. Auction off that hat, give the money to the family of the firefighter that was killed there.
That sounds like a wonderful idea, and the people who were also injured.
Yeah, and the ones who were injured. Yeah, good idea.
Yeah. Hey,
clever.
Well, he should wear that hat every time he comes up on stage from now until.
Yeah, you know what's funny is with his patch over his ear, he's not wearing a hat right now.
True, but the funny thing is, one of those security people picked up the hat, carried it, put it in their car with him.
Yep, they did.
Absolutely. All right, I just wanted to pass that on. I hope it gets to the right ears. Have a good day.
Great idea. Thanks. Bye-bye now.
All right, bye.
Interesting. Yeah, would you take that and auction off, use the money for good? He would probably do that. Probably would do that. 989-752-6111 is the number to call. Let's take a break, and we'll come back with another call.
Are you suffering from pain or injury?
Hi, we're back with you here at WSGW, and let's see, Bob is in Reese. Bob, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Art. I'm on a conciliatory note. I was glad to hear Carl call in and be satisfied with the verdict on Senator Menendez.
Yeah.
But I will say this, in this day and age, just because you're found guilty doesn't mean you did something wrong. You might have been bucking the big system, and they go after you. The other thing I can agree with Carl about is the other day when you mentioned Michelle Obama, and I don't think she has the qualifications to be president.
But I didn't say anything about her qualifications. It's all about her personality.
Okay. Anyway,
I just think because let's put it this way. Let's take for instance, or a what if, all right? Mm-hmm. Let us say, by hook or crook, one way or another, they get Biden to step down. Now they have to find a replacement. And they have to do it quickly, and it's got to be somebody with instant recognition. She meets...
Oh, they got somebody.
Who?
They got Robert Kennedy. But they won't let him because he's too much of a real Democrat. He's not a socialist communist.
That's why they won't let him do it, though, because he doesn't fit the mold today.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he'd do it anyway. I think he's declared his independence, and it's going to be interesting. But I still say, if they could entice Michelle Obama into the race, it'd be a runaway win. It'd be a runaway win because of the name recognition. There are a lot. Let's be honest about this. There's a lot of shallow voters in this country that don't vote on the issues.
My goodness, yes. And going back to the assassination attempt, how did the guy get on the roof? Where's the ladder? And if there was a ladder, where is it now?
Yeah, I don't know if there was one or if it was the kind of roof maybe that had steppings, different levels of the roof. Nobody said anything about that. It's an interesting question. How did he get there? But nobody said anything about it.
Yeah, and the other thing too, if I'm a marksman, Art, and I hear a commotion, somebody says there's somebody on the roof, I get in view, and I don't have to take that man out. They can fix the roof this week. He should have been that thing should have been full of holes, and that guy should have pooped his pants, and he should be telling, why he did what he did.
Yeah, well, in that situation, you terminate the threat, and that's what they did.
But there's other ways of doing things, and that would have saved that firefighter's life. Okay?
Well, no, wait. You got to remember, they terminated him after he shot the firefighter.
I know, but they had like 2 minutes before that. Art, that people were trying to get their attention, and you're up on the roof,
absolutely. I know.
And the other thing here, Art, the pitch on that roof, you see the picture?
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. I got to interrupt because I'm done here, out of time, but Bob will do it again. Thanks, and we'll be back.
Broadcasting from the storm.
So I don't buy that one for a minute. Not a minute. But we'll find out. Eventually it will all come to the forefront. It usually does. And there'll be a lot of people looking at it, and everybody wants an investigation. Everybody thinks their investigation is going to be the end all. Hopefully they will come to answers and come to answers quickly so they can prevent the same type of situation from happening. And that is one thing the Secret Service does all the time. If there are situations where there is a failure, they reassess and decide how to fix the problem so it doesn't happen again. All right, that'll do it for the Art Lewis Show for today. We'll talk about the YMCA of Saginaw and a veterans event coming up this weekend on Focus. This is WSGW Saginaw, Bay City, Midland, and WSGW Carlton.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend Dog Food.
I'm Steve Kathan. As Republicans display unity in Milwaukee, Democrats still have a struggle on their hands, with some in the party calling for President Biden to step aside. CBS's Weijia Jiang reports a plan for a virtual roll call vote appears to be on a slower roll.
The DNC plans to hold that roll call sometime in August, which would put it at the first week of August instead of in July. If they had done it as early as they could have, which is July 21st, that would have stopped all the conversations about whether Biden should step down or not and whether there should be a different nominee.
For Republicans, tonight's convention lineup is all set.
It'll be foreign policy night at the convention, with speakers focusing on how returning Donald Trump to the Oval Office would make America strong once again. They'll echo the message of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who used his turn in the convention spotlight to mock Joe Biden for saying he needs to work shorter hours.
America cannot afford 4 more years of a weekend at Bernie's presidency.
The headline speaker on night 3, Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance. Doug Sovereign for CBS News, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson says it appears officers from Ohio helping with security who shot and killed a man with knives saved an unarmed man nearby from injury.
Absolutely no one wanted this outcome, and I anticipate a full as well as thorough investigation.
Homeland Security's Office of Inspector General said today it's investigating the Secret Service's handling of Saturday's Trump rally in Pennsylvania. Correspondent David Martin reports the U.S. has formally decided to close down the troubled Gaza aid pier. Pro Football Hall of Famer Terrell Davis accuses United Airlines of a, quote, disgusting display of injustice.
I felt all of my dignity. I felt powerless. I felt embarrassed. I felt like, what the hell is going on?
The former star running back spoke to CBS Mornings about being taken off a flight in handcuffs after an exchange with a flight attendant.
My son simply asked him after he had served me, he said, may I please have a cup of ice? Mm-hmm. And the flight attendant didn't hear him, so I politely tapped him on his shoulder. Mm-hmm. And when I did that, he swung his arm around. He said, don't hit me.
United's apologized, so did police. CBS's Deborah Rodriguez says Emmy nominations are due out shortly.
I alone will tell you the truth.
Period drama Shogun and a kitchen comedy are expected to be top Emmy nom contenders.
What if I wanted to open a restaurant?
Critics expect The Bear and Baby Reindeer to dominate too.
This is my stalker. Say hello to Mom.
Will you say that to me? Some categories are losing nominee slots this year because of a lack of submissions.
This is CBS News.
Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend is freeze-dried dog food. Save up to 54% off your first order, plus a free bag of Cod Krispies. They're wild-caught cod skin treats. Text dogs to 511-511. Text fees may apply.
Still undecided about